Season 1. NS HoSeo, Axiom Acer, MVP, FX Open, LGIM, Azubu, Prime, StarTale.
Welcome back to the GSTL. NS HoSeo finds himself down 1 point as Tasma was unable to secure the win. They've sent out Sanai, though, to see if they can tie things up.
Sanai, the last time we saw him was in the preseason, the first match that NS HoSeo played. Back then, they were up against Team MVP. He was able to take the first game against Killer, but then he lost to a Terran player, exactly the matchup that he has to play now.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can figure it out. Back then, things were a little bit different than they are now, and Zergs was starting with Terran a little bit.
Back then we were still in the old studio, now we're here in Gangnam, and let's see if Sanai can start things off with a win once again.
Yep. You can see that Aphrodite is in the studio, even though she's not on today's roster, so she's going to be watching her team play. And, you know, Sanai has a really important role here, because if he loses, then they've only got 2 players left that they can choose from, and against the depth of StarTale that hasn't even been shown yet, it may be an impossible task to win this team match.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that changed in comparison to last season, not only that we now have a round-robin system, but we switched from a best of 9 to a best of 7. You only need 4 wins to take the match, so every match is even more important than it was before. So it's really, really important that Sanai is now coming through for his team and takes it. Everyone expects Jakji to come out as a 4th player, and usually Jakji is good for at least 1 win, usually for multiple kills. But if he's suddenly up against the entire StarTale roster, then things get very difficult, especially with... I mean, there's always... You know, there's Life. Life is the one player that everyone expects to come out for StarTale at some point to win the series.
Yeah, it's exactly who you would expect. I mean, if Jakji comes out, Life will probably come out to meet him. And Life has destroyed top-level Terran players in multiple tournaments and finals, worldwide, everywhere. I mean, can a Terran player even beat him? I don't think so.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, this kid, for some reason, he always has the answer. He always finds a way. He's up against Flash in the finals at MLG and is able to take him down. He is such a strong opponent to face. To be fair, though, in the preseason, he did not perform too well for his team, but back then he also had a lot less Heart of the Swarm experience. By now, he's one of those players who has a lot of tournament experience in the new add-on.
Yeah, he certainly has improved quite substantially. And,
you can see,
sorry, I'll let you take this one.
Well, you can see sort of, you can see him just sitting right next to Jakji here. So he's the foreign player on the bench. He might be one of the players that we will see today. If we don't see him today, I actually expect him to come out in the next team match that they have. But for now, it's all up to Sanai. A different Zerg player. He's up on a GSL DMZ against Sound. Yeah, DMZ, a map that we have seen twice already. It's not a map that's been completely figured out yet, but I feel like in the late game, if you get Vipers out, Zerg will have a slight advantage with the map terrain. But before then, things could be a little bit tough. There's a lot of ramps, there's a lot of choke points. The middle of the map is somewhere you want to avoid as a Zerg player if you don't have the better army. I'm really interested to see what kind of styles we see from those 2 players, especially what Sound is going to do these days. One of the strong compositions that you have as a Terran is Bio Widowmind, a composition that is very, very strong, very mobile as well, and very difficult to engage. The Zerg player, will he go for Mutiling Baneling? We will see a Roach Hydra composition. That's what we're going to find out right now in the GSTL Season 1 2013. Sanai up against Sound. Colin Wolf.
Thanks to BenQ, our sponsor. Starting at the bottom right, our Zerg player, the 2nd player for NS HoSeo. He is...
NS HoSeo Sanai.
A lot of responsibility on his shoulders right now.
Yeah. Sanai, he is up against a Terran opponent. The last time he faced one, he was up against Dream and he lost the match. Today he's facing a StarTale player. Starting to the top left, we have...
StarTale, Sound.
He's certainly making a lot of noise today.
Yeah. This is a 2-player map, one of our newer maps in the GSTL, and one of many new maps coming out of Korea that are 2-player that have now, you're starting to see some of these maps in the ladder come from the ladder to the GSL and GSTL. And DMC is a pretty interesting map. I like to see how it plays out going forward.
What we see very often in this matchup now is Terran players starting off with Reapers into Hellions. This is one of the standard openings, and we already have the gas now going down for him. So at this point, we will see him going for 1 or 2 Reapers, just trying to scout what's going on here. Sanai, on the other hand, he's trying to find out, well, do you proxy your barracks at some point? What exactly are you going to do? He will go into the main base, and he will see that there is a gas, so he will already know that he has to deal with Reapers.
Yep, and this is going to just be a minor annoyance to him. He does start the extra drone, and getting that pool out is going to be so crucial, of course. Without it, you can't make queens, which are essential to defending this rush. He actually goes gas before pool.
Well, what we saw was definitely a lot of the shifting in the meta game when the game came out. When the beta was there, or when the game was first released, a lot of players would go into a very Reaper-heavy style, proxy the barracks, and even go for an early Rex and early gas. But the problem really was that if the Zerg player is able to fend off your attack and maybe only lose a drone, or none at all, then suddenly he is way ahead in economy. So at first most Zerg players really struggled with this, but they found a way. Most of them rely on the queens these days, and therefore you can go for the pool a little bit later if you're confident in your ability to micro your early units, and especially of course your drones.
Right, yeah, the drones are going to be the biggest issue. Once the Reaper gets in there, all you have to do is make sure that the drone that is targeted is pulled away. Then if you want to, you can attack with the rest of your drones until the Reaper retreats for a brief moment. Everything you want to do with your drones is to buy time. You'll never kill the Reaper against a good player, but if you can scare him, force him to go away for a moment just to recover, or to start firing at a different drone than the one that's weak, then you can get your queens out, and then the rush will be defended.
Yeah. What we see right now is 100 gas already for Sanai, who of course went straight into gas after he finished the extractor. So he can start speed, and that's what he does. And with speed, the Lings are faster than Reapers, even off creep, so he can use them. But for now, he has to make sure that those drones are not dying. And you can see how the timing works out so well for him.
Yeah, and look at that. The Reaper not even able to really accomplish anything here. He's just annoying some of the Zerg units, essentially, as not able to kill a single drone. And only 2 Reapers on the map for Sound. And with this, yes, he can continue to be annoying, maybe force a drone to bounce off the line for a second, but that's all he's going to do here, and he can't hope to kill anything.
Yeah, at this point he just wants to scout a little bit and to annoy his opponent, maybe even force a few extra links. That's one of the things that you always try to do. You can't necessarily pull it off, and in this situation it's just the scouting information that's important. He also goes for the additional command center, as already mentioned, so we have him now on the way to get 3 CCs in total. And for Sanai, the question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to take your 3rd base, or are you trying to at least tech it up a little bit before you get it?
Yeah, he's got 2 overlords in position to scout, one at the north and one at the natural. The one at the natural actually cannot quite see the command center, as just shown by Legend. But the one on the right side is going to be critical to see the 3rd base. If he doesn't scout that, he's just playing in the dark. With no information, his opponent can do whatever he wants, because Sound has already seen the pullout of the gas. And seeing the pullout lets him feel pretty comfortable that it's just going to be Ling speed he's facing, no roach aggression, so he can actually just make this Hellion push happen. He doesn't even have to make a bunker, he knows that.
Yeah, with the Hellions you can always pressure quite a bit, and the Zerg has to be very careful. Hellion Reaper, and then sometimes even assisting Widow Mines can be very strong. And so far he's really just using them to defend here because of the Ling aggression that we have. The early speed is really giving Sanai something where he can pressure a bit, and where Sound has to be much more careful than if the Zerg player decides into a late gas.
Yeah, and with this Ling presence, obviously he's going to want to get at least 1 Widow Mine out just to be there in case he can get those hits off. Just having 1 Widow Mine there makes the Zerg player a little bit less eager to attack.
And there they are already. He's going for the double Widow Mine now. This will give him definitely a bit of a weapon against the Zerglings in particular. And we have now the double evolution chamber as well as the 3rd base being taken.
And he also wants to get that Overlord speed out. That's going to be very useful for getting scouting information. Also going to fly over and block the 3rd base with his Overlord if he wants to do that. Lings get in here though, and this is a big problem. He doesn't have any defending units. He just moved out with his Hellions.
That is definitely a problem. This is something that he doesn't want to happen, and he's trying to save those. Finally coming back with those Hellions, and the Lings, they line up and he takes down most of them, but a few of the Harvesters are already gone, and he's lost quite a bit of mining time here.
Yeah, even losing that Mule is a big problem, because that's essentially the Terran's biggest source of income in the early game, especially. 1 Mule is practically a 4th of your economy at that time. Evolution Chambers are done, so are the eBays at similar timings. He needs to start those upgrades right away, though. He doesn't quite have the resources.
Well, right now we have the double barracks built in the main base, and you can really see how he's trying to force the creep back here.
And, you know, he sees the base here, and he's going to pressure it a little bit. And the thing is, the Lings can try to defend it, but if he just micros his Hellions well off creep, the Lings are not going to be enough, so he has to wait a little bit longer before he can actually move his drones over there.
Yeah, +1/+1 being started for both of them. Still the fight going on between the Zerglings on creep and the Hellions. Trying to force the creep back, trying to make sure that no extra creep tuners are coming in. But he's really committing. Sanai tries to surround and he gets it.
Nicely done. This was a big commitment by Sanai to go for that surround, but he does it successfully, catches Sound's Hellions, and now there's no more pressure on the middle of the map. He lost not only the Hellions, but the Reapers as well. This third base is free to mine.
Yeah. Third base now also here for the Terran player in the middle of the map, and both of them now just trying to take it up. We have the first starport being finished, so you can go into the medivacs, and as soon as we have those, there's always the threat of being dropped. This is one of the main reasons why a lot of Zerg players will still go for Mutaling, Baneling. A lot of Zergs have been experimenting a bit more with Roach Hydra, but one of the big problems that you have with this, especially against the Afterburners, is that it's so much more difficult to defend against drop play, even with spawn spine crawlers in your bases.
Yep, you know, it's really easy to avoid those if you have the booster, especially the spores.
Yeah, it's also if you have a Marauder in your medivacs and you go for a double drop, you maybe have like 2 or 3 Marauders. They are so efficient and so strong against spine crawlers with stim and the support to the medivacs. So if you have the Mutalisks out there, it makes it much easier for you to make sure that the Terran player doesn't drop this much.
Very true. Ling run by here is mostly shut down. You know, he had the Widowmine that got a good shot off. Now he's got the bunker, losing very little here. And in fact, this is a great trade for Sound. He actually lost almost nothing, and he didn't even get the block off on that CC.
Sanai is really persistent with this though. He's trying to deny the mining time and maybe pick up another SCV or 2, but he's always being pressured back here. So that's definitely a lot of aggression that he shows, and a style that we've seen from players like Life, who of course is just an exceptional player in this matchup. But it's really interesting to see how much aggression he tries to force from his opponent. I like it quite a lot.
Yeah, you know, he's keeping tabs on that command center. He's always putting the aggression on. Meanwhile, behind this, he's spent a lot of larva on drones. He's at 74 versus 56 right now. And with that economy, he can buy whatever he wants. He's even got the macro hatch at his third base, so if the base gets sniped, he even can, you know, medium length distance mine at that base. So I like the choice of using that at the exposed base, the right side.
Both of them are really doing a great job with the upgrades here. I want to point out this once again. We have +2/+2 for both of them immediately. And now the Mutalisks are being built, where we have the Overlord spotting the drop play. The production structure in the main base of the Terran plays. He has exactly the production that he needs to back all of this up. Round after round of units are streaming out of this.
Yeah, he's also, you know, whenever he wants to, able to make those turrets. But if he hesitates too long, the first Mutas, even though they're used mostly as drop defense in this matchup these days, can do some damage. Oh, and look at this. The drop he spotted earlier. So easily shut down. Marauders or not, gotta get out of there. And the Mutas actually may be able to kill us. I think they will if they follow correctly.
Yeah, he needs to try to get in there. Now suddenly he doesn't drop those units. He has another drop to the right side, which occupies him, which is why he loses the medivac here. And this is exactly the drop defense that you need to have in this matchup.
Yeah, and I think he should be able to clear this drop as well. Not only pick these units up, but also kill it if he chases with his Mutas. Booster not ready yet. Oh, this is actually something he may be able to say the medivac is going to be close. The Muta's trying to get the surround. He needs to boost it.
Yeah, he needs, and he does it, but he just gets away barely. But that was a close call.
Yeah, and the Mutas will actually continue to follow.
And now we have more and more Widow Mines being produced. So you're going exactly in this composition that I talked about. Bio Widow Mine, very strong.
Yeah.
A lot of Zerg players have problems dealing with this, and Terrans just basically replace tanks with Widow Mines.
Yeah.
And it's very strong, especially when you go for the Drilling Claws.
Exactly.
This helps you so much.
The Drilling Claws make it so that you can basically have a siege tank almost that can be deployed instantly, spread out, it's hard to kill, it's underground. It's very difficult for a Zerg to defend, and we see something very unique right now, Kyle. We see Swarm Host coming out. 2 Swarm Hosts, he's getting the increased lifetime for the Locust, and he's going to try to set up somewhat of a contain, some pressure with these Swarm Hosts. As long as he doesn't lose them, they can really start to take a toll on Sound's hit points of his units.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting now. This is one of the things, of course, where siege tanks really come into play because of the superior range. They have not quite the range of a Swarm Host, but especially not with the Enduring Locust upgrade, but still. You can really see that Sound is trying to push out. The Widow Mines, they are already there. He's setting them up.
Oh, great main hit there. Yeah, we started to split initially, but it was like he suddenly just gave up, and he lost way too many units there.
Yeah. One of the things that you always want to do when you play Bio Widow Mines is you try to move in, try to pressure your opponent's base and set the Widow Mines up as something where you can retreat you. So you move back and you try to lure your opponent, exactly what he does right now. The shots go up and Zerglings are dying everywhere while the drop is being executed to the right.
Yeah, really nice play by Sound. He attacks the Locust to make sure they die. They don't activate the final Widowmine. And that was something that Sanai kind of oversaw there. Losing another drop though. But the push was really stopped. He slowed it down, using these Locusts to absorb the Widowmine fire.
Yeah, and I really like the way that Sanaya plays this matchup right now. But Sound is not done just yet. He's moving in once again, and they are tied in supply. Widowmines, they are everywhere. And this is why we currently have Sanaya sending in individual Zerglings. Of course, the Locusts also designed to trigger the Widowmines. Yeah,
really nice micro here. He's taken out several of them. The drop on the right side is also shut down. The Locusts are free, so every time he triggers the Widowmines to the Locust, he doesn't lose anything from that as long as the Swarm Host survive.
One of the problems that always occur when you try to trigger the Widowmines is that you have to send several Zerglings in, but if there is a bio army, they will most likely take the Zerglings out before anything happens and you lose economy and army. But with the Locusts, it's a great tool that you have to trigger those.
Yeah, you lose nothing.
Yeah, Zergs have been using Locusts against the Protoss players that use Storm to just bait out these Storms and make sure that the High Templars don't have energy, and this is a very similar principle.
He almost got in there. He takes out one Swarm Host. There's too much in the air, though. The Muse forcing him back, and the Swarm Host pushed those Locusts out. Once the Locusts are out, the Bio Army can't fight that. Yeah, you can kill the Locust, but he loses too much, and that's not a fair trade.
Yeah, he's splitting his army and fighting in the middle of the map and dropping at the same time. Makes, of course, also for a weaker army in the middle, so he can't fight against the combined force of Sanai, but the drop was able to take out a lot of harvesters, and this is what he tried to achieve with it.
I really feel the bottom line in this game right now is that there's no fourth base for Sound, whereas the fourth base for Sanai has never really been directly pressured. It's only these drops here at the fourth that have pulled his drones away, but he hasn't actually killed the hatchet. Mining still resumes for the most part.
The big problem really for Sound is that he can't deal with those Locusts. He's always trying to push through, but he cannot really deal with this. If he has maybe Hellions, then he could do something here, but the Widowmines alone, they just don't do the trick. He doesn't have enough of them.
Yeah, he's trying to get more and more of those out. And to switch into Hellions here, you know, without Blue Flame, it's not easy.
And how would you do this? There are so many Zerglings out there. You have the Mutalisk as well. This is a very uncomfortable situation for Sound to be in. He has to do something against those Locusts.
Well, that Widowmine's going to get a good hit. Not able to kill anything, but a lot of damage done. And now the Swarm Hosts are exposed. This is a problem. The Widowmine's going in. He has that Drilling Claws. The Muse have to hesitate here.
And the rest of the army is moving in as well. We have so many Infestors right now. They can go for the bundle. They hit one. The Mutalisk against the Marines. That's something that you never want to do.
Yeah, he's trying to buy time for the next wave of Locusts. Once the Locusts are out, he can actually push this Bioforce back. And Sanai just remains about 20 supply ahead this entire game.
He's able to save his Swarm Host, and this is so important. But we have a gold base now for the Terran player. Sound is mining from the gold mineral patches.
Yeah, you can see he has to retreat here. He doesn't want to lose any of his units to Locusts. Never want to lose expensive Marauders to free units. And the base has not been scouted. He may feel that there's no fourth base because he hasn't seen the gold patches. Oh, the funnels here are excellent. And this Bioforce, you know, he's got the gold base, but he can't replace this forever.
Yes, Sanaya is doing a great job here, but at the same time we have Sound also repelling those attacks. The Zerg player is trying to slowly edge forward and get an advantage here, but +3 armor is soon to be done, whereas the +3 attack upgrade for our Zerg has just been started. So this is definitely a situation where Sound might be able to pull through, but as soon as the fourth is scouted, as you said, Wolf, it's going to be so difficult for him to hold it.
Yeah, this is going to be a real challenge. The fungals go down, hitting the medevacs, which is really important because that is so gas intensive right now for Sound. Good splitting against the Widowmines. Best of Terrans going to activate a lot of those Widowmines, but there are just so many of them, he can't stop everything.
Yeah. Sanaa is just trying to use Infested Terrans and Locusts to deal with the Widowmines to trigger the cooldown and then move in, and he's really slowly pushing forward, using those Swarmers as they were intended to, as a siege unit that puts pressure on the opponent and slowly pressures him further and further back.
All these bantlings need to be cancelled. Very carefully done there, waiting until the last second. But the drops are starting to take a toll.
Yeah.
You know, when his Mutalisk count got thinned out, you only have 7 left. The Mutalisk count gets thinned out, then yes, your Locusts are putting pressure on your opponent, but you have to make sure that you pay attention to what's going on the other side.
This is actually a great game. Both players trying to play to the strengths of their army composition. Sanai in the middle of the map definitely having the upper hand, but those drops, they are giving him a tough time.
And the Widowmine slowly inching forward here. He wants to be able to absorb that Locust fire at least as much as he can so they can move up and hit some of these Swarm Hosts.
He has 13 Widowmines per now, and we have a lot of fire units to support them to take down these Locusts as fast as possible. But so far he's been struggling a bit. But you can really see that suddenly the supply gap that we had earlier, it's completely gone. We have them on even footage.
Yeah. consider that the Carapace upgrades that have been gotten already from Sanai are going to be applied to these Locusts as well, so that gives them a lot more hitting power. They can survive longer, and that's all they really need to do to tank more fire.
Yeah. They do a lot of damage, but also just the survival and triggering those Widow Mines. This is, of course, key. But you can really see how many of those we have. Will those Infestors get the bundles on, though?
They hit some bundles, but they still burrow here.
We have Ultralisks now, Wolf.
Yes, the Ultralisks are going to be a big problem. You know, you can't knock those down with Widow Mines.
Oh,
the bundles!
Oh my god, he gets the perfect bundles off. But here come the Widow Mines. They obliterate most of the Mutalisks.
But
those
also
Ultralisks, they can tank a hit.
Yeah, now all the medevacs are gone, so you know, he can't be as liberal with his Bioforce anymore. He's just starting to fall further and further behind. Yes, he has the base to the right side, but it's a gold base. He's going to mine out really, really fast. He needs another command center somewhere.
A big problem for Terran players in the heart of the swamp now is to deal with Ultralisks. It's very tough, and you need to have like the perfect upgrades, perfect unit composition. Ultralisks have been, since the game was launched, one of the main weapons observed in the late game against Terran players, especially when you combine them with bundles. So this is definitely a very dire situation for Sound now.
Yeah, he's trying to stop the triggering of the Widow Mines with his Bioforce, but then he realizes he's losing too many Marines, so he has to actually pull back and let the Widow Mines trigger. Nice bungle dodge there.
One of the things that we still have to point out once again is that this fourth base was never scouted.
Yeah, he still doesn't know about it, and oh, this may be a bit overzealous.
Yeah, Marines are being taken to the bundle, but now finally he sees the planetary to the top.
Yeah, he sees the planetary. I just don't know. He's losing a lot of Ultralisks here.
He's losing quite a bit, and then we have so many Widow Mines that triggered once again, took down the Ultralisks. Most of the Mutalisks are also gone, and he lost a fair amount of his Infestors.
Yeah, he's losing drones. He's going to lose his Queen potentially as well here. I think he will.
Yeah,
more shots to do it.
If he focuses, and he does.
Nicely done. Picks up, gets away.
And this one Marauder alone can do a lot of damage if you drop it.
Now he just needs to fall back, turtle up for a moment, and get another base while continue to drop. Because if he doesn't secure another base, that gold is going to mine out very soon.
This is a great game. It's a back and forth match that we see here in game number 2 at the GSTL between HoSeo and StarTale. But now suddenly we have once again both of them and roughly the same supply. 10 supply lead currently for Sanai, but all this momentum that was going on for him earlier, it's gone a little bit. He's still the one who is slightly ahead, but he is in trouble suddenly.
Yeah, he needs to be defending. He's now not only the only aggressor in this game. The drops continue to go out. There's no more Mutas, really. There's that one Muta I can see in the air, and that's about it. But good bubble here, and that's going to eliminate the army.
That was a brilliant bundle. This was exactly what he needed. He was able to get it off because at the bottom right we had Sound being occupied with this drop. But the job could actually take down the economy here. He has one Widow Mine. The Widow Mine burrows and gets the shots off. Oh, nice. Widow Mine actually targets the links to the left and only kills about 3 of them.
Yeah, that could have been much worse.
Oh my god, that was a beautiful baneling head. This was so important for him.
Yeah, he knows exactly where the drops are going to be. He's got so much creep, he's got so many overlords all across the map that no drops are a secret. He's only limited by his APM, really.
And once again, the Locusts triggering the Widow Mines. This is the whole thought process behind the strategy that Sanai is using. He's like, well, Widow Mines, they are strong. I have a problem with my composition, but if I get Locusts in there and they trigger the Widow Mines, I'm completely fine.
Oh, that Widow Mine needs to burrow a bit too late on the draw. Gets cleaned up, and now that base has been completely resaturated. There's another command center it's trying to complete. He actually lost his SCV. The Locust targeted it. He needs to get that base up and mining. It's not even finished. You can see on the production tab, it's idle here.
Yep. We still have the on even footing here. We have this one Widow Mine in the main base, and he never gets another drop in there. But you can really see the amount of Infestors alone will give Sound a tough time.
Yeah, and the Sound really needs that base up. Without that base, he doesn't have the economy to do damage. He's going to catch some of the drones here. If he can get the hatch, this will be huge. He targets it, and he will eliminate it. That's going to hurt the economy of Sanai quite significantly. He's got no mineral bank anymore.
And he does not only get out, but he also baits shot off with the Widow Mines.
And the drones!
Drops the drones!
That long-distance mining patch of drones is going to be a lot of trouble, but while the army is occupied, Sanai goes for a counterattack. He should be able to eliminate the planetary here.
But most of the mineral patches are already gone, so this is not going to hurt Sound as much as it could have been earlier.
Yeah, and in fact, with the trades, the planetary up to 34 kills here, a drop from the main. Sound may have grabbed onto this game, and he may be able to take this if he can just get himself together here, get that fourth base off.
And now suddenly we have only 6 Widow Mines remaining. The harvest account is a little bit better for Sanai, which also means that in terms of army supply, it's still a very even game. And the mining is really becoming a huge problem for Sanai. You can see that he also lost a lot of his structures. He lost the hive, the spawning pool, the roach warren.
This army that he has right now is going to be one of the last ones we see from him. He has to do this extremely cost efficiently. He has a ton of investor energy. See how he uses it.
He actually never had the road drawing. He only lost the spawning pool there, but that alone already gives him quite a lot of problems. He's trying to win now with all those investors, but Sound is really playing well so far. This is such a tense game.
Yeah, great defensive position on the high ground, but there's so many investor Terrans. That energy on those investors is starting to make play a role here.
Yeah, and if they can take down the medivacs,
this is so huge. He needs to get the medivacs, and the Butler survives. He's losing too much here.
The funnel is still there, but here we have another set of investor Terrans. Can he pull through?
It looks like the Terran army may just be too much for him. He's going to push us back. The investors survive, but for how long he needs to get out of there?
Nice. Good
no, the investors!
He could take out all of them.
Oh, this is game-changing. He's going to be able to get so many of these. Now he has to avoid those locusts. The fourth base is up at the left side, and the drops in the main continue.
Exactly. He has the fourth base now, Wolf. He is mining. And Sanai, on the other hand, he's losing his hatches to the right. The fourth base actually not mining just yet, but the link is finally being taken out. And to the right side, as you said, the drops, they continue, and they continue to do damage.
Neither player really mining in this game right now. You can see the racer with the top right looking pretty stagnant. He needs to get that fourth base up. Looks like he's finally landed it now. Now we can drop all of his mules there and have a heyday.
Yeah, and we have Sound now suddenly once again ahead in supply. Finally, it took him a long time to turn things around here. He moves in, he gets the investors, and Scan could reveal the locust and also the swarm host, and it happens.
He targets them down. He loses a lot of bio in the process, but he has the better economy. No escape though. Beautiful defense.
Oh my god.
This game is tense.
He shoots down the medivac, and suddenly they have even supply.
But he's going to take out the last mining hatchery. He gets this base on the left side as well.
No cancel.
Oh, no cancel. Those minerals would have been so nice for him. He loses the base to the right side as well. This army is the last one we're going to see from Sanai in this game.
The swarm host, and he's trying to make sure that he gets a few mutalisks in there because they are just mobile enough to deal with this.
He's making a planetary. If that planetary gets up, this is going to be a big problem. And that Widowmine will as well if he targets.
Where's the scan? Where's the scan? He only takes down... he takes only down the locust.
Yeah,
That's not the scan.
He's using all of his mules right now. He doesn't want to use a scan if he can help it. Oh, this base actually sneaks to the right side. That Overlord needs to get active. And I think this is the last hatchery. That's his last hatchery.
That drop is... He drops everywhere the entire time. And one scan when those Widow Mines are ready. If he targets well with the Widow Mines, and yes, you can target with them, he could take down the Swarm Host.
These three Marines have been the bane of Sanai's existence. They've killed hatcheries. They're killing drones here. The mineral patches are low. The Locust can hurt the production facilities at the front. But with an economy like this, it's more about the production facilities at the back. And there he is. He's being revealed.
What a game. We have two mining bases now suddenly for Sound. He has a much better army. He's producing 6, 8, 9 Marines at a time. And the medivacs. It looks like Sound has pulled through.
Yeah, it certainly does. He may even kill the last of these drones. They're going to be close. Looks like he will. Oh, his Marine may take it out.
The Marine is going all Chuck Norris on those drones.
That is a Sergeant Marine right there. The Mutas, who's not up anti-air, but he comes in with a scan, and they think this is going to be game-ending. Too many Marines here. That is it.
He takes it down.
GG! One of the most entertaining matches I have ever seen. So back and forth.
That was awesome. This is Heart of the Swarm. This was brilliant. I love this game. For Sanai, though, a huge blow. He looked so dominant in the mid-game.
Yeah, but he had total control with the gripping of those invested Terrans, and with, of course, the Locust. He has the Locust to go forward, tank the Widowmine damage, and the infested Terrans to come in and grab those medivacs that have been fungled. He just keeps wearing the army down, but that planetary at the gold base was what got Sound back into this game. With the minerals he had there, he was able to keep up, even though he's losing a lot of his bioforces, he just kept up the aggression.
The fourth was never scouted. He never saw that gold base, and this income was so important to Sound. On the other hand, you really have to hand it to the Terran player. He pulled through, he was able to make this happen here, but it's definitely a blow to Sanai. And I love the idea that he had here. He knew that Widowmine and Bio is so strong these days. The Terran players love this strategy against Zerg, and he thought about it and was like, okay, what can I do against it? And he is like, well, if I trigger all those Widow Mines with my Locusts, then I can swarm in with my Mutalisks, I can attack with my Zerglings, I can use my Banelings, and he did it, and it worked so well.
Yeah, I feel there's almost two key points, really, in this game. One is the engagement where he lost a lot of his Ultras at the planetary, and then another point was the first time he lost most of his Muse, because that's when the drops became a threat again. If you don't have Muse, the drops are flying around with boosters everywhere. You can't defend all of those. He starts to lose hatcheries, he's losing too many drones.
That attack was definitely definitely not a conscious decision. It was the heat of the battle when we had this huge fight happen in the Mutalisks. They advanced to the front. They suddenly started to attack the Marines. Sanai didn't catch that. He was occupied. He tried to micro it up and at the same time macro back at home. He didn't see that those Mutalisks were fighting with the Marines. That's something that you always want to avoid. No Zerg player will ever try to take down Marines if he is not 100% sure that he will win with a huge margin.
Yeah, I mean, losing those Ultras as well, they're so expensive, and he runs into a planetary, just thinks about taking it, he has a little bit of hesitation, there's barely any mineral patches left there, as you mentioned before.
The moment at the end when we had all those infestors just walking past the Terran army and they were all in low minerals, or low energy already.
Yeah.
Sanaya playing really well, but Sound, he was too strong.
He was indeed. Our next NS HoSeo player is Salvation.
So, fighting fire with fire here.
Yeah. Salvation's someone that we have seen in the past. Not all too often. I think maybe like only 3 times he's come out.
Well, it's definitely going to be one of those games where there's a lot of pressure, a lot of added pressure on his shoulders. His team is already down 2 matches. He has to win it now. If he is losing now, then suddenly we have only the last man standing. I don't think there's a question is that they're going to win.
Yeah. You know, Salvation is kind of reminiscent of Skull, kind of the second-hand Terran that you have that's next to Joshi, the right-hand Terran. And Salvation has a lot to prove here because, yes, Joshi may be able to take this win, but you don't want to have Joshi face the entire lineup of StarTale. You've got to pick somebody off here at the very least.
The thing is, we didn't see Salvation yet in the preseason in the GSTL, so this is the first time that he comes out in the Team League in Heart of the Swarm. And there's, of course, the StarTale bench. Bomber is still waiting, as is Light.
Yep, a good lineup of players over there, ready to go at any moment. I would not be surprised to see Bomber come out and TBT this guy if he can beat Sound. But that's not going to be an easy task either. I'm really curious about the map pick.
Yeah, me too, and I want to see this next game. Terran vs. Terran has been a lot of fun in Heart of the Swarm. It's sometimes a little bit, I feel it's a bit fragile. You have to always make sure that, like, I feel that sensor turrets in Heart of the Swarm are even more important than they were in Rings of Liberty, because one good Doom drop, and you, even though you have a lead in the game, you can lose it because your opponent sieges up in your main base. With the afterburners and the speed boost, it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's absolutely possible, and we may see that. Just when you're behind, the boosters give you so much more opportunity. We talked about this at length during the preseason, but a turret ring against 6 speed medevacs is not enough. It's not going to matter. Yeah, not even one medevac will die.
If you boost well, you can just boost over those turrets, then you're in the main base. So early recognition, that's what it's all about. You need to know what's going on. Scans help you quite a bit. You can also use the sensor towers, so very important here. We'll find out what exactly they're trying to use here. Belshir Vestige is going to be our map.
Yeah, Belshir Vestige is a somewhat narrow map. It's a bit stretched out. It's not like Whirlwind, so probably this map is going to revolve around siege tanks and positioning. You can see a lot of mech on this map, but Bio still works quite well, especially with the new medevacs.
Sound being in high spirit here. I mean, this guy just won 2 matches, so he put his team into a 2-0 Salvation. Can he come through for NS HoSeo? What do you think?
You know, he needs to. That's all I can say. I think he's going to have a tough time here, especially now that Sound has that momentum on his back.
Yep. No,
I would love to see a cheese build or some sort of special strategy he's got planned for Belshir Vestige. I think that would be a really important decision that the NS HoSeo may have to make here. Sometimes Isolated Sound goes CC first and TBT on this map. Maybe we do it to the Olvera Proxy, or we do a Reaper build, maybe even a really fast Reaper rush, and see if we can take him out with that.
I'm interested how these players open up. I watched a lot of Paul playing, and he sent me also replays, and you could really see that with the Reaper opening. That's something that Paul really loves. You have so many options also in TBT. If you start with Reapers and your opponent with the command center first, you can actually take him down if you get a fast second barracks. But well, this is only theory. We are jumping into the game to see what actually happens. We have a Terran versus Terran, the third game, GSTL match between NS HoSeo and StarTale. The GSTL color mode.